Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
We're joined now by Mike Brox, a Democrat from Milwaukee who's running for the 17th Assembly District. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Well, thanks for having me.
So you're a longtime teacher, just recently retired, and I wanted to start out getting your thoughts on coronavirus and schools, and if you have any insights into opening for in-person classes versus virtual, and what do you think is safest for students, their families, and teachers?
Oh my gosh, great question. I don't think, there's, I think about a few different plans out there for reopening. I retired this year after almost 30 years in the classroom, and it was at the beginning, and one of the reasons was because of the coronavirus. So I elected to opt for retirement. It was heartbreaking. We were, kind of caught a little bit by surprise, I think, as was so many other families, because it's not just about, the schools, but the families and the pressure that it's putting on our parents and our providers. So we went immediately. We had to set up and go get ready for the virtual instruction. That we had to put packets together. We had to show parents how to utilize different software that we were employing as a result of that. And there were transportation issues and deep cleaning of the schools and all of these type of things. But having said that, moving forward and looking into the fall school opening, I think that the plan is to go 100% virtual. Now, that could be problematic with people who cannot afford internet, and so we have to level that playing field. And there's some civil rights issues there in terms of equal access and all those type of things. I don't know if people have considered that, but I think Milwaukee Public Schools. Well, you have to look at the public and the private sector as well as structured schools, like St. Charles and places like that, where I worked for 6 years as a lead teacher. And you have to make sure that they have access to their Chromes and their tablets and the information. And there's a certain learning curve, with parents as far as understanding, how it works, because, students are pretty much adapt to it. However, students will try to get around work if they can, and which leads me in I have a bunch of stories, but I'm not going to bore you with them right now. But so we're starting with I think 100% online instruction. We'll see how that goes, and then there's going to be alternate school days where certain students come in maybe on a Monday and a Wednesday, and other students on a Tuesday, Thursday, and possibly on the Friday. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that. And then we're going to see how that works out. And if that works out, depending on the curve, flattening of the curve, some schools are talking about opening up for full blown instruction. So, but we'll see how that goes. The pandemic, basically, is in charge. And so we'll see how that happens. But as I walk through the district, we've knocked on over 8,000 doors. I mean, it's a blast. It is. I mean, and the thing is, when you see a grandparent answering the door with their grandkids and safety pins, and they're pulling on their apron, and they're hungry and they want a snack, and she's so glad, they're so glad to hear I'm a teacher. Will you come in and show me how to use this software? Well, ma'am, that's really my policy not to, well, okay. So, and then I, have a little talk when teacher-student talk with they're all my students. All of these kids are my students. I don't care what the deal is. And you give them that teacher look. so they know that you're not in, you know what's going on, you know, because some of them are saying, well, we only have one class a day and now I'm done. No, you're not. So you know, I mean, I kudos to the parents and the grandparents and everybody, you know, all hands on deck. Everybody's pitching in to try to make it successful, because the bottom line is we got to make sure that our students, our scholars perform.
Well, thank you so much. I will try not to ask you too many questions about your former job, but it is very interesting and something on a lot of parents' minds right now, and teachers.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you about tax collections. The governor has warned that tax collections may drop by $2 billion this year. To address that shortfall, would you vote to cut spending or raise taxes and fees to offset that loss? What do you think?
I think we probably should look at a referendum and let the the voters decide. We're already, you know, in dire straits as far as generating revenue for the state. The city of Milwaukee is, you know, just about broke, and so we have to look at different alternatives. We have to be creative. You got to start thinking, you know, somewhat unorthodox terms. I mean, some people are talking about tolls, you know, highway tolls and whatnot to generate revenue. With the burden, you know, with the unemployment being what it is, that's going to be a huge drain on that, because with all the numbers going up, and we may have to shut it down again, that's going to be more people on the unemployment rolls. So I'm open. I'm not going to Madison thinking that, you know, I'm the second coming and I got all the answers. I'm willing to listen. You know, there's a certain learning curve involved here. If you think if somebody's going up there saying they have all the answers, you probably should, look twice at that. But I'm looking at other possible ways, and a proposal writing. You know, we have to. This is a global pandemic. We have to look outside the state, possibly to other countries, and look at what they're doing to generate revenue, and how we can reach out to them, to those people, and see what we can do. My main concern is bringing revenue and working for the people in my district. It's a wonderful district. I want to make sure that they're, taken care of. My first priority is with the district, then the state, because these are the people, who are expecting, me to support them in what they're going through right now, and they're going through quite a bit. So I think, yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, speaking of districts, one thing that's on a lot of people's minds is redistricting. And who do you think should draw the next set of maps to set the legislative districts? Governor Evers has announced his People's Maps Commission. Obviously, the Republicans who control the Capitol want to draw the maps. Who do you think should set who your constituents are and what your district is?
Well, hold on, let me get rid of that cough. Okay, I think that, the Republicans had a shot at it. And how's that working out? It's not working out too good. So we have to learn to work together and to take a look at the data, the demographic breakdowns, the population, et cetera, and then we should act accordingly. I think that, it seems like when you leave it in the politicians' hands, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but everybody's working for their own separate interests. And we got to start working for the interests of the people. So I think, having said that, which was basically nothing, but I think that we should work together. I absolutely think that we should work together since they are controlling the three branches. But we should not leave it. Definitely don't leave it up to the Republican Party. And I don't want to go in there hating on the Republican Party, but we should not leave it up to them because it hasn't worked out. It is so much gerrymandering right now. I mean, my district looks like the state of Texas, if you take a look at it. Give me a break. So I think that we need to take a real hard look at that. And we're going to have to do something about it, too, as far as generating revenue, making sure that it's equitable. We have a good balance there with the property taxpayers as well as renters, and we come out with something that's going to be fair and equitable.
When it comes to marijuana and legalizing marijuana, do you support legalizing medical marijuana? Do you support legalizing recreational marijuana? Where do you stand on those two issues?
Well, other states are doing it, and they're they're having an excess of dollars to invest in other projects, programs that are much needed in their community. So as it stands right now, I would take a strong look at it. I'm interested in the repercussions, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Milwaukee now with people without the use of marijuana. So we'll take a look at that and how that fits into law enforcement, crime rates, and all the other data. We'll take a look at it, but the people seem to be, and I'm a representative of the people. So if it's on a referendum, if people are for it, I'm going to stand by and uphold the law, the rule of law. So I would say that should be a referendum issue, and let the people decide.
Both of them should be okay.
Yes, absolutely. Sure. I just want to say one thing. I got a lot of faith in the electors. After talking to them, I'm wondering, I ask them all the time, why don't you guys run for office? They say we're too smart. So, I have a lot of faith in leaving that decisions like that up to the electorate and let them decide. I have a lot of faith in them.
When it comes to racial inequalities and disparities, Wisconsin has long struggled with a huge divide there. What do you think the legislature should be doing to address the inequality and disparities that the state is facing?
Well, it's kind of a complicated question, but I mean, first of all, we have to take ownership of it. There has to be more inclusion, more information, more access for those. I mean, if it's systemic, you have to deal with it in a systematic way. Now, when you start talking about racism, are you talking about in education? Are you just talking about across the board? Are you talking about Milwaukee right now is the most segregated city in the country. Okay, so I mean, that's saying we have a unique situation here, and it's not only a white problem, it's also our problem, because we have had, if you want to talk about accountability, we've had people, the Black community, in elected positions and we currently have from lieutenant governor to county supervisor. Okay, so there's enough blame to go around, and we have to take a look at the cronyism, the nepotism, and all these other types of things. We have to start grooming young people for leadership to do it the right way. So it's an interesting dilemma, and I look forward to addressing it openly and candidly. We're going to step on some people's feet on both sides of the aisle of all races, but trust me, this is not my first rodeo. If you look at my resume, okay, there's enough blame to go around, and everybody and anybody who knows me knows that I don't have a problem raising the issue and addressing it head on.
One other area that Wisconsin has faced criticism over is its property taxes, which are some of the highest in the nation.
Yeah.
And as a result, school districts and local governments can levy, their ability to raise taxes is limited or capped. They can pass a referendum to try to exceed those caps. But if you're elected, would you vote to keep those caps in place and have it go to referendum, or would you vote to eliminate those?
Again, a referendum. It's the people's money. And let them decide what they want to do with it. I mean, like I said, I have a lot of confidence in them. Right now, if you look at property taxes, the assessments, if you notice, the assessments always go out after the election. Okay, so I'm looking at, and a lot of them have doubled, and in some cases even tripled. And in the context of very limited incomes now, especially with senior citizens and the retired folks who are struggling just to keep their homes. They want to get their property repossessed or their cars, etc. They're trying to feed families, trying to make a dollar stress. I think that should go to a referendum. I'm definitely not for increasing taxes. We have to look at alternative ways other than taxing people to death raise revenue. Sure, as I said, I would say that would go to the referendum, but I'm almost sure that the voters would be totally against, raising property taxes any more than they are now.
One proposal that's come from Milwaukee to address some of the budget shortfalls is wanting to have a 0.5-cent local sales tax in Milwaukee to try to help fund things for the city and the county. Do you support those kind of alternative sources of revenue for local governments?
Well, nothing is off the table, as far as generating revenue for the government. But we have to look at also wasteful spending. I mean, what are we spending money on now that should not be a big priority? We should probably move it around, take a look at some other things, restart some of our priorities, take another look at this. Like I said, I'm open. I'm looking forward to going to Madison, working with other legislators who have been, on top of this for a long time. Listening is going to be very important, when I'm elected, to other alternatives, what some of the kinds of things that they're coming up with, and we'll see what we can do. And I have some ideas of my own, true enough, as far as generating revenue. Like I said, we have to start writing and reaching out, writing proposals and reaching out for other sources of revenue. The increase in the sales tax, on certain items, and things like that, but I don't see, right now, the citizen is being taxed, just out of the box. So we'll see what Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, whoever, people on both sides of the line, in the middle of the aisle, under the aisle, what people have to say and what kind of ideas they have come up with. But again, I see this as, going to referendum. We've got to get the people engaged and involved and taking ownership of this. We can't keep taxing without permission. People were they were in shock. The residents, electors that I've talked to, and highly upset, with the increase in their property tax. And their whole thing is, well, what are we getting for this? So I think we should let put it in referendum.
Another issue that's come up when it comes to taxes is paying for highways. Governor Evers had proposed raising the gas tax, which was obviously controversial. Would you vote to raise the gas tax if you're elected?
Again, we'll take a look at it and other alternatives. I mean, that's the first thing that people want to go after, just want, raising the gas tax. I mean, right now, gas prices are, relatively stable. We don't know what lies ahead. The whole thing about this, the pandemic and the coronavirus is we don't know. We don't know what the budget is going to look like. We don't know what I don't know why people would come out and say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to raise this tax. First of all, let's see what we're working with. Let's take a look at the budget. We already know that this budget is shot because of the pandemic, and the resources are going directly to help the people. We're getting some federal, stimulus money in to help offset some of these costs, but I don't know that that's going to be enough going into it. The thing about it is, this thing is all open-ended. We don't know what it's going to. We have to start, tightening our purse strings now and preparing for the future because, according to, some folks, the experts, they're saying this can go on for another 18 months. It's going to take, once you get a cure, it's going to take another year to test it. So, we're in this, we should be in this for the long haul. No, I'm not. So I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no about raising the gas tax. I'm going to see what other people have on the table, what type of alternatives for raising and generating revenue outside of taxing.
Do you think that the legislature should make hospitals a higher priority in the next budget? Obviously, they've been hit hard by the pandemic, like many other industries, and possibly worse in some ways.
Yes, I have friends that are nurses and doctors and work in healthcare, and being retired myself, I'm looking at Medicare, things like that, and other healthcare providers. And I think that we should take a look at the community-based healthcare facilities, because we're going to have to take a look at mental health. We're going to have to make sure that our seniors are taken care of. It's a lot of moving parts that are in place as a result of the pandemic. Crime rates are doubled. 40%, I think 40% higher in Milwaukee. And, maybe we can contribute it to the pandemic and people living in close quarters and the pressure, the financial pressures, and all of these other type of things that are coming in place. So having said that, I would look at expanding healthcare, especially in the community, because there's a lot of good facilities, community-based healthcare facilities that are doing a great job. And I think that, and I will definitely support the work that they're doing. For example, my own personal experience, I went to have a tooth pulled, at a large, provider whose name I will not mention. And then I went and had the same, and priced it, had the same work done once I retired. My income was like totally different. And so I qualified. And the larger provider was going to charge me like $800 to pull a tooth. And so I went to the community-based provider, and the fee was $30, which including painkillers, the pain, whatever, the pain pills, and the medication as well. So, and a lot of people are in that same situation. So yes, I'm definitely going to look at what we can do to shore up and expand community-based healthcare facilities. Sure, I'm definitely going to do that, especially in the context of the pandemic and the testing and all these other things that are going on, and mental health care, and working with African American that are professionals in those facilities, with who are professionals and just not able to set up their own business or pay the kinds of fees or whatever the overhead that it takes to really go into business. So this would help business. This would help economics. This would help employment. This would, I think, would be a good thing, properly done.
Do you think that businesses that follow all of the recommended COVID-19 safety practices should be immune from lawsuits if there's, an outbreak?
Yeah, if they're playing by the rules, for sure. You have a lot of frivolous lawsuits, that are coming in, and as a result of the coronavirus. So yes, as long as they're playing by the rules, and there should be something not just inferred, but also written into legislation to protect these businesses from frivolous lawsuits.
One other question on public works projects. Obviously, local governments deal with a lot of public works projects, and I'm wondering if you think that that bidding should give the bidding system or bidding requirements should have preferences built in for Wisconsin companies or local companies bidding on local public works projects.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Listen, again, generating revenue for the state. If you work here, if you're local, I think they should receive a priority. There's too many outside people coming in making billions of dollars because they have the money, the backing. They're able to, I won't say pay to play, but it's a lot of that going on. And also, it would give opportunity for our local workers to, help jobs, generate income for their families. And also, we have to take a look at minority involvement, Black, Brown involvement in these bidding contracts to give them equal access. Absolutely.
You've got a primary coming up very soon, August 11th. What do you think makes you the most qualified for this seat?
Well, my body of work. I get things done. When it comes to education issues, I got, 30 years, almost 30 years in the classroom. I've been an advocate for students for several years. I also, if you look at me, I get things done. I'm the original founder of AfroFest on Milwaukee Summerfest grounds. No small feat, I might add. I get things done. That means, working with various community-based organizations, and particularly the community. I garner a lot of respect, from the community, even though, there's no festivals in place now. But one of the things I do, that's one of the disconnects in the community, is that we don't take ownership. We don't have we're not really at the table in mainstream and a lot of the things that are going on in Milwaukee. Like we are the city of festivals, and that has a impact on youth coming up when you see everybody else got it and we don't have it, and why not? So I have a vision for the district, for the city, and for the state. So I think that's one thing. I'm not in here. I'm running on my name and my reputation, nobody else's. Also, I have worked in the field, for a while. I was Glenn Moore's field director, deputy field director in 2004 when she first ran. So, and I ran for office once or twice before. So, this is not my first rodeo. But again, my body of work. I'm not in this. It's not a career move for me. I was perfectly happy with retirement, but there was a call. I knew that the seat was vacant. I feel like I'm the most qualified person to acquire the position, to run for the position, to represent the people in that district. And as I said before, I'm not a career politician. I'm not trying to go to Madison for the next 20 years. I'm 65 years old. I don't have that kind of time. What's important, what I want to do is groom young people for leadership so that they know how to do it right, so they don't have to run into the same wall that I ran into.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Is it over already?
It is, yeah. We've gotten through all of the questions already, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll be back in touch.
It was fun. Let's do it again.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.